As I introduced myself earlier, I'm the Reverend Margret O'Neill. I use she, her pronouns. Today, Danielle, Liotta, and I are sharing a reflection on leadership, our ideas, and our passions. Leadership is an act of commitment, of compassion and love, a gift from the heart and mind, a gift of the body and the spirit. In a community of faith, leading, following, and serving in the way that best suits you and suits your gifts is a vocation, a calling to support your values and beliefs. And as theologian Frederick Buechner once said, vocation is the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. Leadership is a universal vocation, a calling, a dance of gladness, a joyful response to the needs only we can fill, bringing the unique essence of who we most truly are. Leadership shows up in many forms, many guises, and the ways we lead may change over time as our skills and the needs of the world evolve. No matter when and where we choose to share our deep gladness, when we offer our presence in a way that flows from our own individual strengths and style, leadership is a gift of generosity, a source of joy. So today, Danielle and I will share some of our commitments and thoughts about leadership for every skill, every style, and every time, in the hope that each person who hears us will feel affirmed to bring their gifts to the world in the way that is best for them. Danielle.
Good morning. I'm Danielle Liotta. I use she and her pronouns. What makes a great leader? An effective leader? As it turns out, we don't really know. Leadership has been studied extensively. It's the most studied and least understood of the social sciences. We can't even seem to agree on a definition. Researchers have defined leadership as an influencing process aimed at goal achievement, the art of mobilizing others to want to struggle for the shared aspirations, and at its simplest, influence. In the words of President John Quincy Adams, who was Unitarian, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Take a moment now and think about what you have in your mind about what a leader looks like. What images come to mind? What do you think of when you think of the word leader? What do they sound like? What kinds of things do they say? Are they loud? Are they quiet, calm, or energetic? How do you feel around this leader that you have in mind? What do you want to do when you're around them? What behaviors do you imagine? What is your personal definition of a leader? A leader in my mind is somebody who's able to influence others around them, either positively or negatively. And don't we all, to a degree, have some influence over others around us? As you use, hopefully this influence is positive, encouraging others to live into our values, promoting action towards social change and human rights. What about everyday influences? The day-to-day ways that we influence others around us to create the congregation we want to be, to create the communities and families and friendships that we want to live in. What do those people look like? What are those behaviors? Parker Palmer speaks about leadership in his book, Let Your Life Speak. Leadership is a concept we often resist. It seems immodest, even self-aggrandizing, to think of ourselves as leaders. But if it is true that we are made for community, then leadership is everyone's vocation. And it can be an evasion to insist that it is not. When we live in the close-knit system called community, everyone follows and everyone leads. Palmer goes on to say, even I, a person who is unfit to be president of anything, who once galloped away from institutions on a high horse, have come to understand that, for better or for worse, I lead by word and deed simply because I am here doing what I do. If you are also here doing what you do, you also exercise leadership of some sort.
Yes, humans are made to live in community, and community works when we each and all bring our gifts to serve the greater good. We participate, we serve, we follow and collaborate, and so we lead simply by being here, doing what we do. There are as many ways to participate and to lead as there are people in the world, and there are patterns in our connections that can help us be intentional about how we engage and serve. Leadership is like a beautiful crystal with many facets, and our communities need a wide array of facets and perspectives to be healthy and whole. We may often think of leadership as demonstrated by one person and look to the qualities they bring to the role. Great leaders in all aspects of life provide a model that we can examine to discover what particular gifts they bring and to look at their characteristics for ideas we can bring into our own work, supporting the communities of which we are a part.
Think back for a second to when I asked you to picture what a leader looks like. Take a look around the room and picture the diversity of our life experiences and the vast differences in our personal preferences. What motivates us, demotivates us, what excites us and gets us going, and what stops us in our tracks. Pretty big differences, right? I would imagine that not one person's image of a leader is quite like your neighbor's vision. Picture Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Their differences in speech, belief in how to motivate people. Very different styles of leadership appeal to different people's preferences for what motivates them and how they take action in their life around what motivates them, even when the intended influence and outcome is the same. Two very different styles of leadership, and imagine if both didn't exist, what the lost opportunities for social change and action might have been. For those that didn't relate to, say, Malcolm X's style of leadership and methods of encouraging people to act on what's in their hearts, what they might not have accomplished. Now, what about some possibly more relatable, everyday examples of leaders? Who do you consider leaders in this congregation, in our communities, in your families? They're all quite different from each other, aren't they? Oftentimes, we can't quite put our finger on what the trait is that leaders have that makes them effective. Is it the way they speak so passionately about what is important to them and to us as UUs? Like how Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X motivated others with their passion and energy? Is it in the way they connect with you on a personal level and make you feel seen and heard when you're with them? Like they bring out the very best in you? Is it the way they take risks when they're not completely certain of the outcome? They do it anyway. Maybe you admire their bravery, and they make you feel like you can be brave when you're with them. And you take that bravery with you when you leave their presence. Perhaps they've overcome personal obstacles and challenges. Their determination has motivated you to handle your own challenges with equal determination. Is it in the way they think, feel, act? What do our everyday leaders look like? Do you think someone sitting by you right now might consider you a leader? And I have a suggestion. They most likely do. Maybe they think of you as someone who they look up to and admire. Maybe they want to embody some of the characteristics that you have. The big, so-called important actions and personalities are the ones we think of typically when we think of leaders and people who influence others. But what about in our day-to-day lives? And think for a moment of the characteristics you have that make you influential to those sitting around you right now. You may not know how to be a leader, but is there really a how? Remember, I mentioned at the beginning that researchers can't even agree on a definition and the defining characteristics of a leader. What those leaders do know is how to see the big picture, connect with people, reflect people's strengths, read the room, guide and influence gently. They know how to say things out loud that they aren't quite sure how they're going to land. Bravery leads others to bravery. They know how to take risks. They know how to recognize their emotions and intuition as messages and incorporate them into decision-making, how to honor them. These are not pieces of you to be hidden. Celebrate your emotions and intuition. They're messages, and when honored for the guidance they offer, they can be incredibly powerful and motivating. Everything we do gives someone else permission to do the same, to honor themselves and others around them. What leaders do know is when to lean in and when to lean out. Be still and speak up. Process and respond. Seek the advice and thoughts of others and know when to listen to their own advice and thoughts. They know when not to lead, when to ask and encourage others to lead because they are not knowledgeable, simply not in the position to lead, or they're fatigued. What leaders do know is when to not believe they have the answer, to not think, I am right, and believe they know all they can about a subject. Do you recognize any of these characteristics as those you may have? Everyone is a leader. Everyone can see at least a few of these qualities in themselves. Leadership comes with responsibility and new ways of seeing ourselves and how we interact with others in the congregation and our communities, seeing ourselves as the powerful and influential Unitarian Universalists that we are. How will you use your leadership qualities that you have in your life?
Amen. As we think about leadership qualities, it's not always about just one person. The story we shared earlier about the albatross and the crabs and the turtle and the seagulls, the dog and the whale, did I miss anybody? Was a fun demonstration of how a leader can mobilize a team, opening the way for everyone to discover and to offer their own unique gifts in community. Sometimes leadership is a team sport, And any leadership team requires a varied and integrative set of skills to be effective. We need a team because no one of us can excel in all the facets of leadership. And any leadership team needs someone who's creative, an idea person who comes up with new ways of doing things and isn't afraid to try. And then they need someone to carry out those creative plans, someone whose strength lies in getting things done. An effective leadership team also needs someone to keep things organized, making sure the pieces of a plan come together in a way that makes sense. And then, perhaps most important of all, a leadership team needs someone who's tending to relationships, making sure that everyone feels included and that everyone's skill or perspective is heard and valued in the process. While everyone has strengths in one or two of these leadership skills, creativity, getting things done, organizing the work, and making sure all are included, no one of us can be and do all of those with excellence. So when you think about how you might make a difference in community, which of these skills are a strength for you? We all have a role to play and a special gift to bring.
Leaders don't keep, they give away. They give away their gifts, their talents, their education, and they share willingly so that others may develop and grow and share further within and beyond their immediate circles of influence. Leadership is a beautiful stone dropped into a vibrant and teeming with life body of water that sends out ripples of inspiration, hope, and information. Leadership doesn't speak or give credit to the word failure. It says, I tried, and I'm going to try it again until I figure this out. Until I figure out how to use my skills to reach the necessary outcome or show a mirror to those around me that have the needed skills that I don't in order to create the change that we are collectively seeking. It also recognizes that sometimes what is perceived as the necessary outcome wasn't actually the case. It's open to multiple points of view and different perceptions and needs, and being willing and able to change course with new information. It's not about standing out and standing above and standing separate. It's not entirely about being viewed as somebody with an area of expertise or a specific sort of strength or knowing. It's about standing with and among, giving and receiving of each other's strengths, seeing the divine, individual, and collective skills of everybody, holding and building each other up, lifting, encouraging, seeing and seeking together for a common good, serving as an inspiration and recognizing the inspiration and spark in every single person sitting around you, whether it's in this congregation, your dinner table, your interactions with everybody in the community that we seek to create with an eye for social justice and compassion. How will you inspire and influence today? How will you bring this message today with you in your hearts and minds? And how will you help yourself remember just how powerful you are?
There are so many ways to be a leader, whether you inspire others with creativity and passion or work quietly behind the scenes to get things done. Every skill and strength of leadership is vital to create a thriving community together. Each of us is like a single candle with our own unique flame. And when we allow our light to shine, we can bring our separate lights together to nourish and expand our power in community, creating a brilliance that can light the darkest corners and truly transform the world. So let us celebrate the uniqueness of our individual flames and the power we create when we bring them together and let them shine. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing This Little Light of Mine. It's number 118 in your hymnal.